Over the weekend, I listened to a story of a dad who had lost his son recently. And he said that he lost his son to COVID, but not because the child, who was 12 years old, got sick, but so unfortunately, the child committed suicide. And so the dad was exploring the events leading up to the death of his son, and exploring the climate around his son's death. And he pointed out some things that I thought would be worth talking about today in the light of the virus, the pandemic, in the light of our Christianity. I can't even imagine how a person comes to a place where that kind of an act or choice would become a reality. Not that I don't believe it's real. It's very real. We all have family and friends who have been affected by the seeming thought processes that convince a person that they don't have value and that the world would be a better place without them, which as Christians we know this is the farthest thing from the truth. But when a person is in that kind of a state, how do we, number one, even recognize it? And how then do we combat it? Because it is a battle. It's a battle that that person is waging within their mind, their heart, their soul. And it's a battle that we wage with them to recognize the signs, if even possible, and then to authentically build that person up so that they can choose to wait out their struggle for just one more day. The dad mentioned a couple of things that I wanted to highlight related to the pandemic and the activities that changed for all of us. The greatest challenge of our lives, because we are social beings, is to live in isolation. One might think that children, young people, have the ability to adapt, to create their own world when they're alone, so that they can accomplish the things that they need to accomplish, so that their minds can process what is happening if they're isolated. But it's a struggle nonetheless. Now, not all children are at risk. There is definitely a particular segment of society which is predisposed to going to a very dark place when circumstances are less favorable. And it's not, a cultural or there's no gender bias, there's no cultural bias. It crosses all boundaries, but it doesn't cross all people. There must be something different or unique about those who might walk that path that most of us don't understand. But it's important to look out, especially in difficult times, especially in times of isolation. It's important to look out for each other, because it's very difficult to see it, the signs. People who walk that tightrope of the dark and the light don't appear, oftentimes, especially when they're with other people, don't appear to be challenged. They appear to be happy. So how do we know? The father, in his segment, basically said his child was happy and looking forward to things. And they had no idea that their child was going through something so dark. So we want to find ways to counteract the isolation in hopes that there would be something we can participate in actively, so that people who might be predisposed to taking a darker route of reality could be persuaded each and every day to walk yet one more day. Some of the obvious things that we absolutely must do, especially if we have children in our home, is to keep them active when they are in their school environments. They're walking, they're talking, they're engaging, they're having their physical education needs met. There is a lot of activity and a lot of stimulation. The stimulation that we get from a TV isn't the same. The stimulation that we get from a TV or a video game brings our brain down to the sleeping area, not into an area where we're physically really engaged, even though we might be processing things. So as we are in isolation, and this isn't really just for children, we too, adults, need activity. My mother used to say when we were young and we were getting a little bit rough around the edges and a little bit bored or tired or annoying, to be honest, she would say, go outside and run around the house. And she would literally kick us out. And it's funny, we would run around the house because she said to do it. And it's a funny example, but it's so necessary to keep ourselves engaged and each other engaged. To be sure to have some regular activity, exercise, that matches what we would ordinarily have if we were not in isolation, or even that exceeds. Why not go a little step further? And to eat healthy. When we fill our bodies with unhealthy foods, they're not able to process everything that we need to process in a healthy way. Our physical health, our mental health, our food health, it all affects how we process and how we manage our personal lives. So we have to eat healthy. We all need interaction. And when we are isolated, we tend to go to the most easy interaction that we could find, which might be gaming or TV or listening to music. But again, as I mentioned, those activities are not necessarily engaging. They're engaging our mind to some level, but they also tend to put us asleep. There are studies, psychology studies, that prove that out, that our brain waves go down to alpha. So we want to strive for engagement at a personal level, having family time, playing board games, charades, something so that we're working together as a people. So these are the physical things, and there are probably a ton more, but these are the physical things that we want to make sure that we're focusing on during a time of isolation. Now our isolation now is lessening, but the effects of that isolation are going to linger on. And because we're still partially isolated, and we're still isolated from a social distancing perspective, these effects will still be imminent. As Christians, we have things that we can fall back on, the teachings of Jesus. This too shall pass. One of the things that we can tell someone who might be struggling, who we know might be struggling, is just hang in there for just another hour, just another minute. Find something positive to focus on. It's really hard, but it is something that we can help and encourage them to do. God has a plan. Everything works out for the good, or God works everything, or can work everything for the good. Nothing is impossible for God. These one-liners, these sound bites from the scriptures are important reminders for us to share with ourselves and with one another that what we suffer is always temporary. If we feel in the moment that we are not valuable, that life is not valuable as we are living it today, if we go one more minute or one more hour, let's just wait until tomorrow to take any kind of critical action. Then we can help each other walk through the difficult times. And just on a social level, it's difficult for us sometimes to get out of our shell and to reach out to people, but it's more important in this environment that we do so, that we call, and not that we talk someone's ear off, but that we allow them to talk, and that we listen, and that if we do have the disposition and the challenges of faith to pray together, alone, by ourselves, for other people, and to pray with other people, whether it's over the phone or from 6 feet apart, or if you dare and are you wearing a mask, perhaps at a closer distance. So we still have this time of isolation that's surrounding us. It's not finished yet. And hopefully we can take the time that we need to reach out to one another and to care for one another, actively engage one another, and walk through this together.